Which brings us to our S shape. What is it? Well, it's definitely a shape that you can learn for more stylized heads from the side view. And we'll kind of draw a quick head to describe that. That would be facing towards the right side. Cranium, ear, jaw. We practice this throughout the course. This should be no problem for you. Now, where this line meets the cranium, that's about the top of the forehead. We can just say that that's a landmark we need to know. And if we draw an S from there, it's going to give us some options. But before I do that, I want to talk about some anchor points on this. So the middle line, there's this apex and that apex, even over here. Right now, both of these, we'll call them bows, are a bit even and reflected over this axis. Now, we can take those apex points and vary them. So if we have that center line, and again, this will make sense very shortly. And instead of having this in the middle here, if we made that much lower, that means this top bow will be much bigger, and we have to fit the smaller bow in like that. This is for an extreme stylization. We could even take this anchor point and pull it way back this way, right? And this is just to show you how much you can push and what to look for in terms of the apex anchor points like that and this. So what does that actually mean over here? So if we look at this line, that's where we're going to sort of start with. And we'll just do a standard even one right now. So that's going to be the center point. And we just draw the S. So the first bow and the second bow. You can kind of see where this is going. If we now take this shape right here and pull it forward, well, what do you know? That's going to give us a shape for a nose. And we just kind of slice that line up a little bit and put a line right here. And this is going to be the pocket where the stylized eye, very much Pixar or DreamWorks, is going to go, right? And so this curve goes in like that. You can see the S very clearly. If you just draw a line, not in the middle, that would be too even, but a little bit higher, closer to the nose, you'll have the spot for where the mouth will go. So let's go ahead and use that as our base to draw some facial features. Carve in, and voila, mind blown. And then you can obviously put your own taste of how big the eye is. I like to put a triangle shape for the eye there. And cool thing about that S shape is we could just trace it real quick. Remember earlier we talked about how the heart shape can kind of define the shape of the cheekbone. We could just take that S shape, move it over this way, and rotate it as a sort of echo from that first shape that we drew. And this is very heavy in shape design and rhythm, flow, balance, and all that stuff we talked about earlier in the shape design lesson. And that'll give us the line for where we can sort of turn the polygons to imply the shadow side. Put a shadow here as well, under there, under here, under there. And then even have a nice little S curve up here, or C curve, for that to flow into. Okay. You can see that being a kind of male character for some kind of Disney, Pixar, something or other. Okay, let's try a different ratio, a more extreme example. So we got the cranium, got the jaw, and that line. Let's put an ear there for good measure. And let's make it so it's the bigger bowl shape up top, and have it intersect here at not the halfway mark, but down here. And make it small like this. Pretty much this proportional ratio. And this is going to be more of an extreme stylization. Let's take that curve that we already established with a basic S shape that I believe you can draw. It's just an S. And then you bring it up like this. You could even make it smaller. And use that as our guide for the nose. So let's see how that looks by sketching on top of it. I'm going to start by sketching the nose in here. Put the mouth in there. And then the eye is going to sit in this whole thing. Very big, very over-the-top stylization. I'm going to make it not fill up the whole thing, but make that the eyebrow spot. You can actually modify it a little bit and just sort of let it fit in that area. And you might have to push and pull and kind of move this back a little bit to make it a little bit more sense. Maybe push that forehead in. Definitely over the top, definitely stylized. And let's actually go ahead and edit that jaw shape. Because you can also use that S-curve to show what shape you'll use for the jaw here. Just a very subtle echo of it. And that's the ear. And you can kind of make the cranium a little bit bigger if you need to. Okay. And now we have a stylized face from the side. And it all started with this ratio where the eye is going to sit in that first bowl. The nose is an echo from this part of the S, and the mouth sits in over here. I'm just going to sketch over this real quick to kind of clean things up, to kind of drive the idea home. And I know this strays quite far away from the realistic stuff and the skulls and drawing form in 3D, but I feel like it's important to share this just in case there might be some of you who want to know how to use these kind of secret shapes and let them show up in your own designs. It's certainly really pushed, that's fine. And you can kind of edit it as you go, maybe make the chin a little bit lower. But if there's one thing that you can kind of recognize from this is that there's always going to be a line here where the eye happens on this side and the mouth and nose happens on that side. It's not always the same. Sometimes it's much flatter depending on the reference or the style that you're going for or the person that you're drawing.